And now we move on to the tokusatsu section of Keikaku Corner. And before we do, some of you guys might notice we have different shirts on, different camera angles, and also I might die. I'm. I don't think I'm sick, although I might be becoming sick. This past weekend, there was a very interesting party that I had with a few Those Guys Play members up in New Rochelle. Talked about that in a Matt Rants, along with some other stuff in this, on our Those Guys Play channel. But we're still continuing with the last half of this Keikaku Corner. Also went to a show tonight. Went to a concert tonight. At the concert was At The Ready. If you don't know, At The Ready is our fellow Those Guys Play member / Let's Play friend Melissa. She's in a band called At The Ready. I have their EP, which is only $5, super cheap, somewhere in this house. I don't know where it is. Because I wanted to flash it at the camera, which right. I was like, oh, I'm going to flash it at the camera. Because I also saw another band tonight, the Ever After being one word, and I have their CD, but I will not show their CD and not Melissa's. I will not betray our fellow Those Guys Play member. So either way, the info to get both of their EPs will be in the description box below. Definitely check out both bands. Really cool. Melissa's first, however. But totally check them both out. And I'm going to try to survive the rest of this because I still have a ringing in my ear. And it's really, like, Tristan, are you ringing? Are you fucking with me? I don't even know.
Maybe.
That could be an option. That's the thing. That's what really sucks about having this ringing in your ear. But anyway, let's truck on. Let's move on and talk about Funimation licensing the Gridman anime. And I laugh because there's so many like other words pre-Gridman. Like it's just written as SSSS, but it's supposed to be like the superhuman samurai cyber squad Gridman.
Right.
So that's a lot of words.
Yes.
Before. But anyway, so Funimation is licensing the Gridman anime. And this might not mean much to you, Tristan, but this is, for me, another notch in the Funimation is so weird belt.
Yep.
And here's what I mean by that, right? I love Funimation, but let me explain, everybody. Because some of you guys might not know. Funimation just seemingly licenses a bunch of anime adaptations of tokusatsu, but doesn't actually license tokusatsu at all. And it's weird. Like, I don't know if you know this, Tristan, they licensed the Garo anime.
Right. Yeah.
They're licensing this anime, and I don't think they've licensed. I'm thinking if there's some other ones randomly, but I think there are some other like random either anime-inspired parodies or homages to Toku that they just snatch up, and I'm just like, hey, but why not Toku though? Like, it's just a curious thing, I think. Like, it's very interesting how, Funimation would never touch Garo, and now that we have Kraken Publishing, which I forgot what division they are, if it's like Sentai Filmworks or Section 23, I always forget. But the point is that they have Garo, the live-action version, but it's just so interesting that, like, when it comes to Toku, that's either someone else's job or it just doesn't get picked up ever.
Right.
But when it comes to the anime versions, Funimation's like, sure, why not? It's just strange, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Garo. I was like, oh, I guess the Garo anime will never get picked. That's okay, Funimation. Right? And then all of a sudden with this one, I'm like, there's a Gridman anime? Who would pick, okay, Funimation? Just okay. And also it's getting a dub as well, most likely because of the fact that, so it's coming to the Funimation Now streaming service, and I imagine just to boost that service up, just so that they don't have like another, for lack of a better word, another subbed show that like Crunchyroll would have, right? To have something more exclusive, they're dubbing it as well. So I don't know if it's going to be like simul-dubbed, doesn't really say here whether or not it will be. It's just interesting. So, do you know anything about Gridman, Tristan?
No, I don't, other than I read the name wrong like 1,000 times the first time I read through the article.
Yes, you've been reading it as Grindman, which is
you found hilarious.
I did, because I read it as, when you said Grind Man, I heard the R, so I heard Grinder Man, so that changed the game up completely. Like, and what's really funny is the hero fights in cyberspace.
Right.
So the fact that you called him Grind Man, and then I thought Grinder Man, and then he's in cyberspace, I'm like, well, things just got really gay. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it did. It just naturally did. I'm gonna send you, because here's the thing. Because yeah, Gridman actually got adapted. It was also made by the same creators of Ultraman, so Subudaya, and it was just a one-off random show that got released in Japan and then brought over here as Superhuman Samurai. I want to make sure I get it right. Let's see, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. There we go. Yes. So that's the thing. So Gridman, that name was dropped for the US release, and it was brought over like Power Rangers was. I should make that very apparent. Like the original tokusatsu version was adapted like Power Rangers, and honestly, I don't remember if it did well. I've never seen it in my life, but there are people out there who said, oh yeah, I watched that, just like they watched Power Rangers and some other shows. I think they just viewed it as a knockoff.
Right.
Because I believe it was brought over, and correct me in the comments section if I'm wrong below, guys, but I'm pretty sure it was brought over by Deke, the same company that brought over the original, like did the original Sailor Moon dub.
Right.
So I thought it was brought over by Deke, DIC. And yeah, I just think that because maybe Saban wasn't behind it, although to be fair, Saban was also behind Beetleborgs, and people still looked at that as a knockoff. It's like, no, guys, it's the same people.
Right.
It's the same person who made the Power Rangers. It's not a knockoff if they're in the same continuity. You know, it's like saying Ant-Man is such a huge knockoff of Spider-Man. No, they're both. Yeah, right. Like it's like no, they're the same company. But anyway, but in Japan and the U.S., Gridman was not made by the same either Saban or Toei. So but it's not technically a ripoff. It's more of a capitalizing on the whole idea of like the internet in the 90s.
Oh, right.
Because it came out in 93, 94, if I remember correctly.
Digimon.
Yes, very much like Digimon in a way. So it was just capitalizing on that, and frankly, I have to say, it does make sense that they would bring it back now, especially in anime form. Because of how the internet has actually, like, you don't even have, like, of course they're going to exaggerate it, I would imagine, but just the idea that, with what the internet can do now, especially how Digimon was brought back and how it was done, it was exaggerated, but still how it was done in Cyber Sleuth.
Right.
It kind of makes sense that they would bring this back. And especially as an anime, you and I both know, of course, I mean, anyone who watches anime knows they can go crazy with this in ways that tokusatsu might not be able to. Yeah. At least in terms of having, the budget. Because, I mean, think about something like Digimon, the first movie, and how that would not have really worked if it was a toku.
Oh, God.
Like, that's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Like, it could have happened, it's just that things would have been quite different.
Right.
And scenes would have been cut and shortened and things like that. So, although I feel like Garurumon would have been a really cool, like, toy mecha.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They would have, like, it would have been completely different. So, in this case, I should also mention, by the way, Studio Trigger is also behind this, which is interesting. Like, that's going to be, at least in terms of animation quality, that's going to be really good. Subudaya Productions, of course, Subudaya behind Ultraman. Also, we've talked about the Subudaya and Chayo court case, and we talked about that in the past as well. And and of course, Gridman will be premiering in Japan this fall. So yeah, I don't know what else to. Akira Amamiya is directing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's behind Inferno Cop.
Right.
Oh, this is gonna be fucking great. I know he's probably not going to direct it the same way Inferno Cop was directed, but one can only hope.
Gridman turns into Inferno Cop in a deleted scene.
Oh, my body is Gridman. Yeah, that makes me hyped. But yeah, so let's see, I want to make sure. Oh yeah, and the anime seemingly will have a completely new story. I'm thinking if there's anything major here. No, just if anyone doesn't know the story, it's going to be set in or at least the original was set in a computer world where war is waging in computers. So when you said when you said, Tristan,
yeah,
that it was like Digimon. Three middle school boys support the hero Gridman in his battles through their personal computers. When you said Digimon. It was like Digimon, I mean, no, but no, I mean you're not completely wrong. But the question is, even though you don't know much about the Toku version, even though you haven't laughed at the American version yet, which I'll send you later, the question is, does this seem interesting to you at all? Or do you actually feel like, I've seen it in Digimon, or you prefer, because I don't know, you don't usually, as far as I know, watch like superhero anime.
No, not really.
Is it something, do you not like superhero anime, or do they just, you don't really see ones that catch your eye, or?
Yeah, I just haven't seen that many.
So, alright, so then does this catch your eye in any way? Or you're like, maybe one day. Like, not that I'm saying that you're immediately hyped, but
yeah.
But are you going to sit, like, if this appeared on Toonami, would you be like, oh yeah, or would you be like, I don't know?
Yeah, I'd give it a shot.
Alright, this is why I say that. Everyone's like, what do you mean by Toonami? It's very hard, due to our schedules, to have, to be like, oh, Tristan, let's sit down and go watch it on the Crunchyroll. It's like, there's a lot going on in our lives to not be able to do that. But to have it on something like Toonami and be able to DVR it and feel like you can watch it on a television versus having to sit down in front of your computer, which that's kind of what we do most of our days, that might be a little bit easier. That's kind of why I brought that up. Also want to mention that it doesn't say that it would be on Crunchyroll, but I'm imagining that it would. It's just that haven't made a announcement on that just yet. But yeah, so I'm hyped for this. Again, not like super duper duper hyped because I didn't check out the original. I've seen only a few clips here and there, but I'm hoping that you guys are hyped, and tell me what you think about Gridman in the comment section below.